The following story reflects the experiences of a client of Jewish Family and Children's Services Mental Health Services. It is told in the first person, but it is not my story. My name is Esther. This evening, I want to share the story of my 14-year-old son, Sammy. One afternoon, he came home from school and found my mother, his grandmother, lying dead on the floor. I could only imagine how horrible that was for him. In dealing with my own grief, I wasn't as attentive as I could have been. This still haunts me. One day, not long after, Sammy mentioned how he had become afraid to touch or step on wood or glass. He said that something terrible would happen if he did. My husband and I were dismissive, telling him that wouldn't happen. He was convinced it would. At first, he put on socks and gloves to make sure he didn't touch anything made of wood or glass. Slowly, Sammy started adding layers of cloth to form a thicker barrier. Each layer had to be applied in a certain way. If it wasn't done correctly, he needed to start all over again. At first, this didn't take much time, but as the layers got deeper, it started taking him longer and longer. He started being late for school and came home in the middle of the day a lot to change his wrappings. Sometimes he didn't even make it to school. I was in the throes of mourning over my mother. In retrospect, while I was in the throes of mourning, I didn't recognize that we all needed help. All I could do was put one foot in front of the other. Even with his wrappings, Sammy needed to make sure that glass or wood hadn't touched his skin. Taking a shower was a huge part of his ritual. He needed to unwrap his blanketed feet and hands, then carefully climb into the shower, avoiding any contact with the glass shower door. After getting out of the shower, he would then need to put his wrappings back on. The whole process took hours. We saw what was going on. We knew he was struggling. We didn't understand the true extent of what was happening. We received a call from the school nurse who strongly suggested that we get him help. She recommended calling JFCS for mental health counseling. We resisted, but when Sammy shared that his only focus was binding his hands and feet, we knew we had to call. He began working with a JFCS therapist. Eventually, Sammy's therapist asked him to remove the tiniest piece of cloth from one finger, which he did. Later, he told us that he was terrified, but was relieved when nothing bad happened. Sammy and his therapist worked to unwrap his feelings, including the trauma he experienced at finding his grandmother and the sadness of the loss, and slowly he began to unwrap his bindings. Sometimes my husband and I joined him for family sessions so we could learn how to support him. JFCS absolutely changed the direction of Sammy's life and taught us all the skills we need to help him navigate his emotions and behaviors. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to JFCS for being there for us in our time of need. And thank you all for being here tonight to help support this life-saving agency.
The following story reflects the experiences of a client of Jewish Family and Children's Service, Food Insecurity Services. It is told in the first person, but I'm fortunate that this is not my story. My name is Alan, and tonight I'm here to tell you a story about how life can change in an instant. I've always understood that tragedy can happen. I never expected it would happen to us. It did. My family works in the event business. And in March 2020, our world collapsed. We're a hard-working family and never considered ourselves people who would ever need a handout. But there we were, with modest savings, trying to figure out how to pay the bills. Our friends also found themselves unexpectedly struggling. They mentioned they had reached out to JFCS and received rental assistance and used the corner market food pantry. We hesitated to reach out as we were concerned about what people might think if they knew we needed a food pantry. The situation was very humbling, but we needed help, and so we called. It was easy to apply. order our food online, select a convenient pickup time. When picking up our food, the staff brought our selections directly to our car. We were treated with dignity and respect and were impressed by the staff's professionalism. We felt secure knowing that our situation remained completely confidential. We're still sad that our event business was not able to recover. Thankfully, we have found gainful employment and are no longer struggling. We still have some ground to make up since we used up all of our savings, but we no longer need the corner market food pantry. When we feel completely secure again, we truly look forward to becoming donors to JFCS to not only repay your generosity, but to use our good fortune to pay it forward. We will be forever grateful to JFCS and the safety net they provided for us during hard times. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, JFCS, and thank you, everyone, for letting me share my story with you.
The following story reflects the experiences of a client of Jewish Family and Children's Services Basic Needs Service. It is told in the first person, but it is not my story. Hi, my name is Daniel, and with recent certification in information technology, I just received an amazing offer, and I owe a great deal of thanks to JFCS. But that's not where my story begins. Before I tell you my story, I would like to share with you my mother's story, that of a single mother who raised my brother and me, both kids with social anxiety-related challenges exacerbated by an unamicable divorce between our parents. My mom was working part-time at the mall and trying her best to take care of us, but couldn't make ends meet. We first heard about and benefited from JFCS by using the food pantry. And it became clear that my mom needed a full-time, better-paying job with benefits. She mentioned her situation to the food pantry staff, who recommended she meet with JFCS Relaunch Career Services. Mom knew her retail sales skills were an asset, but didn't know where to begin. The Relaunch counselor worked closely with her to create a resume that was sharp, current, and highlighted her skills and experience, and the counselor literally sat with her as they submitted an online application to a local supermarket. This salaried position was an easy commute that came with benefits, and after being invited for one interview, she got the job. And this is where my story begins. After Mom was employed for a year or so, both of my brother and I had the opportunity for part-time positions at the store. It quickly became a family affair. My job was great. As someone on the spectrum, interpersonal connections were tough. But this job helped me work with both colleagues and customers, and along the way, improve my confidence. And I got a paycheck as well. Mom told me, save your money, and she was right. I found an affordable IT boot camp to attend while working at the supermarket. Once I got my certification, guess what? I reached out to Relaunch, and together we created a resume that sang my praises. I have an offer on the table now, and Relaunch is helping me negotiate a salary, one I wouldn't have dreamed of just a few years ago. And it all started with JFCS and Relaunch. The ripple effect of helping one person is profound, and I am living proof of how the services JFCS provides can reverberate from generation to generation. Thank you, JFCS, for everything you do and for generously providing both resources and the heart to help change the lives in our family.
The following story reflects the experiences of a client of Jewish Family and Children's Services Senior Services. It is told in the first person, but it is not my story. Good evening, everyone. My name is Hannah, and I am 89 years old. I would like to say that I am aging gracefully, but unfortunately, I am not. The years are definitely catching up with me. My younger sister had been trying to care for me as my health declined. My care became too burdensome for her, and I was afraid I would need to move to an assisted living facility. That's when my rabbi suggested I reach out to JFCS. He told me that JFCS works hard to help seniors age in their own homes. I was skeptical, but called. I was put in touch with the loveliest woman. She introduced herself as my case manager, and she said she would help me navigate the various services and financial assistance programs available. She explained her job is to evaluate people's needs because JFCS offers comprehensive care in many areas. She told me that besides helping older adults age comfortably in their own homes, she helps clients receive food, mental health counseling, and assistance with basic needs. She said that sometimes people only require one of JFCS's services, but other times they need more support. She called it case management. I called it a big job. My case manager began checking if I was eligible for government financial assistance. Luckily, I qualified for state funding to have a home health aide. My case manager helped me apply, and soon I had someone coming to help me every week. Now I could stay in my own home and have support, which was a relief to both me and my sister. But there was another problem. My sister always cooked kosher meals for me, but was no longer able to cook as consistently anymore. I mentioned this to my case manager, and the next thing I knew, I had a wonderful volunteer delivering seven nights' worth of kosher meals to me each week. It's so comforting to see my volunteers smile, knowing that I'll have a nutritious kosher meal each night. I was doing better, but I realized something was missing. I realized how lonely I was since my sister could not come to visit me as often. When I brought this up to my case manager, I was matched with a volunteer in the Friendly Visitor Program. Every week, the volunteer comes over to my house, and we have the best conversations. It's been so nice to share my lifetime's worth of stories. I am so grateful for all the help that JFCS has given to me. I no longer need to be a burden to my sister, and for now, I can stay in my own home, and I never feel alone anymore. Thank you, JFCS, for everything you do for me and for all the support they provide for people in my situation.
Welcome, everyone, to Jewish Family and Children's Services of Northern New Jersey's annual celebration. I am Paula Shaman, and this is Arlene Herman, and we are the co-chairs of this evening's event. Thank you for joining us to celebrate the Goodman family, as well as the amazing work of this incredibly diverse and multifaceted agency. You, as our friends and donors, support the essential services that comprise our 4 pillars of service. It is your commitment and dedication which allows us to provide such a broad spectrum of social services for anyone who needs us. Because of you, we can, together, create a stronger, more resilient, and healthier community. We are thrilled that you are here tonight to celebrate with us and hope you are enjoying the evening. Arlene?
Thank you, Paula. I'm delighted to be here tonight and so happy to share in the honoring of the Goodman family. I've known the Goodmans for over 30 years and have always been inspired by the dedication of Larry, of blessed memory, and Roz to making our community a better place. They passed on these values and principles to their children, who also commit their lives, time, and energy to those in need. Our community is a better place because of the Goodman family. Their loving, devoted, and consistent presence and their legacy of leadership and philanthropy is to be admired and emulated. It is truly a privilege to be with you tonight and to celebrate this amazing family, and especially my darling pal, Razi. It's now my pleasure to introduce Susan Greenbaum, our tireless CEO, whose leadership and guidance ensures that JFCS's outstanding services continue. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you, Paula and Arlene. My name is Susan Greenbaum, and I am the very proud CEO of Jewish Family and Children's Services of Northern New Jersey. We are delighted to see all of you here tonight. We're thrilled that you've joined us as we honor the entire Goodman family, especially you, Roz, and your beloved Larry, Zichrono Livracha. All of you exemplified tzedakah, righteousness, charity, in all of its forms, and we are all so grateful to you. Thank you so much to all of you for being here to celebrate JFCS NNJ and all of the work that we do to help those in our northern New Jersey community who need us. I want to acknowledge and welcome Tracy Zor, Bergen County Commissioner, Jason Shamus, CEO of Federation. Where are you, Jason? Dan Schluffman, President of the Federation Board. Robin Rocklin, Managing Director of the Endowment Foundation of our Jewish Federation. Carol Silver Elliott, President and CEO of the Jewish Home Family. Steve Rogers, CEO of the Kaplan JCC. Rabbi Nathaniel Helfgott of Congregation Netivot Shalom. And Rabbi Rachel Salston of the Fair Lawn Jewish Center. Because of the amazing alliances and collaborations among our Jewish communal agencies and synagogues, we are all stronger and best able to achieve our respective missions. At JFCS, staff and leadership cherish these relationships and constantly seek new opportunities to work together to improve the lives of the most vulnerable among us. You've just heard from our outstanding actors about our 4 pillars of service, because we provide a suite of programs and services that complement one another, and because we pride ourselves on being nimble and able to adapt what we do and create new programs and services as mental health and social service needs in our community evolve and change over time. We are uniquely positioned to help people in essential ways. Our staff at all levels are trained to be trauma-informed and therefore sensitive to the special and particular needs of the clients and patients who we serve. Our approach is holistic, and most individuals and families are served by JFCS in multiple ways over the course of time until independence and long-term sustainability have been achieved by the clients and our social work staff together, or until a psychotherapy patient or an entire family have healed and have reached their goals with their trusted clinician. The work is difficult, often newly challenging, and always incredibly rewarding. I hope that you've all had the opportunity to speak with members of our remarkable staff team this evening. They are awesome and interesting. They are kind and extremely skilled and very smart, and together they move mountains every day. I want to acknowledge our army of volunteers that continues to grow and who support us in innumerable ways. Tens of thousands of kosher meals on wheels delivered with warmth and love. Huge food orders picked up from the community food bank or from ShopRite and transported to our corner market food pantry. Telephone reassurance and friendly visiting for lonely and isolated seniors. These are just some examples of how our volunteers support our staff and our clients to supplement and enhance the professional help that's being provided. And I want to recognize and thank my leadership, my board, with Rachel, my loyal and loving partner at the helm. The volunteers who lead me and JFCS through the complex maze of governing and stewarding a nonprofit that provides social and mental health services in northern New Jersey, a place where being poor, anxious, depressed, ill, alone, houseless, hungry, abused, neglected, or disenfranchised in any way is uniquely painful, destructive, and often even tragic. As the safety net of our Jewish community, JFCS has come so far, but deprivation and mental illness and distress will always exist, and sadly, they seem to be growing. To this point, it's important that you know that we are always looking forward, always working to anticipate the challenges that lie before us. It is through JFCS that those who need us can heal and grow. And so I want to thank all of you here tonight, our loyal donors and supporters. You all make our work possible, and we are so very grateful for the privilege and the trust that you place in us with your generosity and vision. There is a straight line between your support of JFCS and the recipients of life-changing psychotherapy, case management, employment coaching, emergency financial assistance, food, and most especially hope. Now back to the word tzedakah. As you may know, there are 613 commandments in the Torah. I've often read and heard the quote from the Talmud that the commandment of tzedakah, charity, or very literally righteousness or justice, is equal to all of the other 612 commandments that we find in the Torah combined. Why is this? Very few commandments that a person does require the investment of one's entire being. If you happen to observe the commandments related to kashrut, you do that with your mouth. You learn Torah with your head. You light Shabbat candles with your hands, etc. Even commandments which engulf the entire body, such as sitting in a sukkah, does not really involve your entire being. To philosophically seek justice for all is admirable, but to actually do tzedakah by sharing of one's most precious time and or the resources we all work so hard to earn in order to achieve that justice requires of the donor investing all of themselves for the sake of a healthy community, for the sake of those who are less fortunate, really all for the sake of God. It is an unbelievable feat, and that's what you all accomplish with your actions and with your generosity by being here tonight. So from the very bottom of my heart and soul, and on behalf of the thousands who pass through the doors of JFCS, both real and virtual, thank you. You can clap. And now, what we have all been waiting for. Please turn your attention to the screen.
Typically, now is the time that we like to present our honorees with gifts.
This year, we thought that, that in lieu of the multiple Judaica pieces required for all of the homes in this beautiful multi-generational family,
Kanahara, poo, your shelves are filled with lots of good stuff. We are very, very honored and excited to announce that we will be establishing the Goodman Family Endowment as part of the JFCS endowment to honor all of you. Do you want to say thank you?
Thank you. Of course. All right, so I have to recover from the video first because I hadn't seen it until right now with all of you, and it says a lot. This past Shabbat, we read in Vayera about tzedakah umishpat, doing what's just and right. And that's the gift God gave to Abraham, that his generations would continue to do that. We're so fortunate, all of us in this room, to be able to do what's just and right, to be able to support this incredible organization, because any one of us in this room could easily also be a client. And that's what motivates us as a family. That's what motivates me as a person. And that's the lesson that we teach to our children, that it's important for us to help others because we are all so fortunate. And so I'm so glad that Jewish Family and Children's Service chose my family to be honored. It's a humbling experience, and it's been a lot of work. And I have to say thank you to the entire team at JFCS for all the hard work that they do throughout the year, but especially for what they've done to get this event to be so successful. And I'm grateful for all of you to be here tonight, and so is my family, for sure. And what can you do is continue to think about the people that will wake up tomorrow and need services from Jewish Family and Children's Services, to think about the people who are going to bed tonight without a meal and how we're there to help them. And it's really important. So I'm really grateful for all the things, for the stories that you've heard tonight. Those are real stories. Those are real people in our community. They may not be out in public, but they certainly deserve the attention and the help. So I just want to thank you all for being here tonight, for your generosity and your kindness, and for being here to support this great organization and to honor my family, and especially my dad, who, although is sorely missed, as you can see, he has left a legacy in everybody that he has touched. So thank you very much.
Hello. Hello, JFCS family, to our staff, our friends, our donors, and our community partners. For those of you who I haven't yet met, my name is Rachel Sheff, and I am very honored to serve as board president for Jewish Family and Children's Services of Northern New Jersey. On behalf of our dedicated board of directors, welcome. We are so grateful you are all here. I love that our annual event is called a celebration. Celebration is certainly the operative word this evening, as there are so many people and achievements to celebrate. First and foremost, our event chairs, Paula Shaman and Arlene Herman. Paula, thank you for always stepping up to the call when asked for support. Your unwavering dedication to JFCS is deeply appreciated. Arlene, or much more comfortably, Mommy. Thank you for accepting the role of co-chair to honor your dear friend Roz and the Goodman gang, and for pretty much supporting everything in my life. I love you. Many thanks to Michelle Welikoff and the entire JFCS Development Department. Yeah, woo! Your hard work in all areas of growing our agency's visibility, financial support, and for orchestrating this wonderful celebratory event. The 4 stories you heard earlier are critical representations of our clients. Their needs are comprehensive and pressing. Tonight, we celebrate Susan, JFCS's professional leadership, and the entire staff. It's the compassionate and imperative work that you do every day that helps our neighbors in need find their way forward out of the many challenges they're facing. And to our volunteers, many of whom are the only face our JFCS clients see in person, thank you. We celebrate you. You keep the agency's services moving with warmth and kindness. To the Goodman family, we are here this evening to celebrate you, your legacy, and the impact that you've had on JFCS and the people we serve. Your legacy is inspirational and attainable. We can all benefit from living the life lessons that Larry of blessed memory and Roz taught David, Karen, and Mindy, and they in turn their children. The act of giving, of time, of leadership, of philanthropy is an essential act and should be a part of our individual and collective philosophy. Each one of us here tonight has the capacity to be a positive force in helping our community. Maybe you're here this evening because you already understand the value of being a JFCS donor or volunteer. Thank you. We celebrate you. Your dollars go directly to providing the hands-on, person-to-person services across the range of our 4 pillars. If you're here in recognition of the Goodman family, this evening serves as an opportunity to learn more about who we are and what we do, and why JFCS has been so important to the Goodman family for decades. We hope you will become part of the JFCS family beyond this evening. In supporting our agency, you become a part of the Goodman family's living legacy of philanthropy. Certainly, that is something to celebrate. As we embark on an active JFCS legacy and endowment campaign, I ask for you to please consider establishing an endowment or including JFCS in your estate planning. By doing so, you will inspire those in your life with the beautiful message of the meaningfulness and importance of giving, just as the Goodmans have always done, and the new endowment will do in their honor. Creating your legacy to support the very necessary and powerful work of JFCS for today and for tomorrow, that is certainly something to celebrate. Lastly, a most important thank you to Roz. About 9 years ago, Roz, you called me and asked, do you have any interest in joining the JFS of Northern New Jersey board? I said, sure. I didn't really know what that meant. I feel like a piece of your living legacy to JFCS, because without that one phone call, I wouldn't be standing here today deeply grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this profoundly impactful agency. As is my tradition, oh yeah, I'll clap for Roz. As has become my tradition, I'd like to end tonight by reciting the Shehecheyanu prayer, an acknowledgement of our gratitude for today, a day worthy of celebration, a day in celebration of JFCS. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Amen. Blessed art thou, our Lord, our God, ruler of the universe, who has kept us in light, sustained us, and allowed us to reach this very celebratory day. On behalf of the entire JFCS family, thank you so much for being here. Please enjoy dessert, and good night.